basketball, football, doesn't matter. Last night, anybody watch Apollo? Those two kids? You know, those are old souls, or both of those kids. Old souls who played the drums many, many times before. 8 years old and handled the drums like somebody 45 years old, you know. That's what we're trying to tap into. This looming figurehead of the God processes going on out there. Talent is a part of it. Are we on? Okay. Okay, we're going to get back to where we're supposed to be here. I'm glad to see some folks showed up today. It's one of those nice days when we would rather just get up out of the bed and sit on the couch and click the TV on and watch the pretty pictures. The other part is that this level of knowledge is not, at this particular time, going to attract large numbers of people. I used to wonder why Johnson Bay didn't want a lot of people to teach, because he knew a lot of people weren't coming anyway, you know. And he kept using a term, particularly during the 60s, that scared black folks. And even in the 70s, the word occult, and a word he likes to use. He would very seldom use the word metaphysical, a term that is more suiting for the psyche of Christians because it's more directly related to biblical information. We're at the 30 degrees of Leo, and for those who were not here last week, what we are doing in these supposedly 12 weeks, which will be more than 12 weeks, we're looking at the 12 personalities on planet Earth and the contention that is illustrated and demonstrated in astrology that there are only 12 personalities on the planet. That's over and above the fact of the, quote, multiple differences in color and other characteristic appearances. There are multiple numbers of souls who express themselves in these 12 personalities. The science of self, the science of God, and the science of the universe is all one science, one body of nescience. Knowledge is what science means. It does not mean test tube and repeat this until beyond the shadow of a doubt we see that this little factor works. That's the mundane body of knowledge that the European Western mind, left brain, has come to depend on to verify the validity of fact, not truth. Truth is intuitive and happens in the flash of a moment. Truth verifies the reality of that which we cannot see, yet we are influenced by the effects of that invisibility, where real power is. Why the book, The Kybalion, is important is because it begins to introduce you to the invisible mechanics of the universe and this remarkable mind that we live, move, and have our being in. It allows you to slash your way through a lot of belief stuff that you've depended upon because you had no verifiable proof of the realities of your own intuitive hunches, your dreams and your visions, but suspect there's something more to God than what ministries have preached, said, but not taught. It tells us that we live in an orderly universe, an orderly solar system. And today I want to distinguish, because I don't think I have in the past made the distinction. When we talk about the 9 planets of our solar system, we're not directly talking about the universe. When we talk about the 12 constellations, we're talking about our universe. But both systems use the same signs. Okay? That's the key. Okay? You are a solar system in replica. The symbology that represents your architectural structure, your makeup, is the same symbology that represents our solar system, which is measured as 12 constellations, though there are more than 12 constellations in our universe. But they are called out. Okay? Just as the 12 of Jesus are called out. How many disciples did Jesus have? No, he did not. No, he did not. Yes, he did. 13. He fired one. Right? Remember? He fired. Who did he fire? That's right. He fired Judas. And hired Mattathias. Right? Okay. So we're talking numbers. We're talking representation, not personalities. The reason most Christians can't get to the knowledge of, because they keep thinking in terms of the persona. When you hear a holiness person talk about Jesus is everything, you know, well, she's right, because she believes that. See? But if you look at the concept that Jesus represents universal mind, the Christ nature, the divine nature. So does Buddha. Okay? You know, that's the difference that is problematic among cultures, and is part of the responsibility for the chaos, the war, the diversity, the raping of other cultures in the name of their God, which means their God is false. I like what Henry Clark said about when you claim another religion to be false, you make God a conspirator to treachery. You know? So we're trying to find the universality of all things with this knowledge. We're not trying to become a believer. You're supposed to believe in something already. We're trying to become knowers of truth. That's the level of spiritual awareness that everyone must come to. It's mentioned in the book of Revelation, the eternal gospel. So as we move towards this knowledge, not only will you get bigger, but your universe will get bigger. You'll begin to see this sameness everywhere. The more you study, and the information you've gathered prior to inserting this knowledge will make things make sense. You see, in terms of this absolute divinity that has no opposites, in terms of all of the opposition that keeps demonstrating itself in front of us, that keeps us confused. What is God doing, you know? The black folks in Africa still suffering. You know, I mean, they turn on them pictures, man, they do a job on me, you know? Children lost and starving and hungry. And Kentucky Fried Chicken and the rest of the franchises throwing chicken in the garbage can. You know, it's amazing, isn't it? You know, when you just think about that stuff. You know, we got too much, and some folks don't even have enough food in their world, so they can go steal some food. You know, hell, the crook lives better in this country than honest folks in other parts of the world. You know, you don't have to be hungry in America. You can go steal something to eat, you know? Or you can just go sit down and eat in a restaurant, and then get up and tell the cashier, "Look, I was hungry. Now I'm willing to wash the dishes, clean floors, but I was hungry, and I didn't want to rob nobody. I didn't want to kill nobody, so I just came and ate. Now I'm willing to work." And the worst they can do is take you to jail where they'll feed you. You know, I don't advise that for anybody. The reason I mention it is because I did that, you know, and was led to do it because I had a gun and was getting angry because I didn't have any money, you know, and I went out to rob somebody. You know, I'm not talking about a whole lot of years ago. You know, I'm confessing here because I want you to appreciate the reality of this knowledge. And I was walking down the street, and the more I walked, the angrier I got. And I got to the corner waiting on the stoplight, which is a heck of a thing for an angry man to do. What the hell would a mad man care about a stoplight? And my mind said, well, why don't you just go eat? And it made complete sense. So I went up to Howard Johnson's restaurant at that time in Cleveland, and sat down and ordered me a large hamburger, French fries, hot apple pie, and a malt, you know. I sat there and ate and got full, you know. And I got up and I went over to the cashier with the thing and said, look, I was hungry, and I mean, I was really hungry, and I was getting ready to rob somebody. And I showed him my little gun. I had 25 caliber in my vest pocket. I said, now I'm willing to work, wash dishes, mop the floors, and whatever. I don't have any money, but I'd rather have done this than, you know. She took the things, and then when you get some money, you come back and pay me. You know, she wrote her name on, she paid the tab. It was a humbling experience. It was really a humbling experience. But in terms of understanding the karmic patterns that show these differences is what we need to understand. We're not doing African karma in America. The African in Africa is doing African karma. It's going to be shorter than ours, but it's going to be very similar to ours because we share this collective bond of cause-effect relationship. And why it is important to study Moorish history, and next week I'll bring the golden age of the Moors. We're going to take a look at Moorish history, one of these classes, because the records of the past is from whence this knowledge comes, okay? We're going to start out here today with, if I can remember where it is in here, a commentary on, I was looking for a passage in here. It was about 2 or 3 of you got it. Did you see the passage in this edition of the book that states, for those who knowingly, understandably know these laws or principles, to them all the doors of the temple will magically fly open. Did you see that in there? Okay. The simplicity of these principles represents how the mind of man and God works. Excuse me, in correction. How the mind of womb man, woman, and man and God work. You know, and that's an intentional change because most spiritual literature neglects to make references directly about and to the woman. Even New Age writers keep talking about God, He, God, He, God, He, except those that are talking about universal mind. Even in 1912, these initiates had the foresight to change the concept of negative gender to that of cathoid in terms of the feminine aspect of gender, because of the connotation of the term negative, which in most of our minds still means bad. You know, and that is not what it means. It means electromagnetic energy is the feminine principle of the universe. It is where the positive masculine principle comes from. Okay, it comes out of the darkness cometh the light. I'll make another reference here. Let me do this before I get to Harmachis. Trying to keep that from falling over. Now, I should have some white chalk, and I don't have any, but this will suffice as I impose on your imagination. In the diagram, as you see there, the sun, of course, is always depicted as yellow, gold, and sometimes orange, because sometimes it does appear orange, and a dot in the center. This is very Kemetic, even though it's in the construct of modern astrological symbology. It is very African. When I say Kemetic is what I mean. And is the center of matter, this dot of night, or what Blavatsky called the modicum of night, about as close as she got to the fairness of who the ancient Africans were. As esoteric as this woman was, this woman tried to claim that the South African was a dark-skinned Caucasian. You know, it just blew me away. But that's where she was in her time period. You know, she was still a European of mixed descent. She's got furrowed hair. You can see somebody black and then snuck in there in her family line. You know, there ain't no doubt about it. You know, and she knew that. Is what I'm saying. This woman was a real mystic. You know, she wasn't jiving. She was on the realm of the occult. You know, she knew better. You know, but that's where Europeans were in this collective conspiracy to denounce the credibility of the black family. Everywhere. You know, I guess Budge probably has to be accredited with relieving the scholar of harboring this lie. You know, because in his book, The Mummy, not this one, Bobby Breyer, there was another book by Wallace Budge. This is a European who collected the papyri and recorded them in the Book of the Dead, so-called, and several other books. And single-handedly is probably responsible for preserving much of ancient African culture during a time when most black folks were doing the incarceration bit on planet Earth, what we call slavery. Huh? Yeah, but Gerald is, well, yeah, okay, yeah, Gerald was honest, yeah, he was honest, yeah. The reason I like Budge is because he gave the name and depiction with the picture. Massey left out pictographics, images, which goes here. A clear picture can correct this problem over here like that, you know. And I wish to goodness he had gotten a copy of what they didn't tell you in the schoolroom, so you can see this picture of Socrates, you know, and because it affected me that way, and people that I've shown it to, the eyes boggle when you look and see Socrates as a little short black man with a big nose and big lips. You know. Okay, I'm getting off here, and of course I always have to apologize for being Gemini Sagittarius. We just like to talk and philosophize, so we can go on and on and on, and a lot of times don't end up saying nothing. The circle always represents the concept of infinity, because the reality of a circle, there's no beginning and no ending in the circle. It also, of course, represents the measure of 360 degrees. We're going to begin with the planet first, because there is so much of the planet that we all have in common, and it's not a planet. Let me correct that. It is a luminary. The sun is a mass of pure energy, and it is enormous. You know, I can't emphasize that, how enormous the sun is. Liquid fire, electricity. This ball of luminosity is so enormous and powerful. I was sitting on the wall in front of the building I stayed in last summer, and sitting there like this, and a ray of sunlight came down and burned my leg. I mean, it burned. I had to jump like that. That was from 90 million miles away, you know, where the sun was. Okay? You know, we're not seeing the sun. We're seeing where the sun was. We're seeing the reflection of this perfect circle or sphere. That's where the sun was, because the sun is moving in its own orbit as it moves us, the solar system, around in its orbit around a greater sun. Now, I'm standing on this thing here. One thing I don't like about this, I tend to trip myself. There is so much power in this solar system that when you just start thinking about it, it boggles. You know, it gets scary, you know, to realize how much power there is. See? The days that you're walking along 98 point something degrees with a 85 point humidity, and you feel like this, oh, wow, man. Yeah. You're not being drained. You're being overcome by energy. You're getting so much energy that your body can't make an assessment of it to use it. So it closes you down. You know, that's what's going on. You got too much energy. Until you get to this point where your energy rises. You know, they showed a clip of the Buddhist monks that had gotten to this point where they'd raised their kundalinis and were virtually sitting fireballs. And they would wet these sheets and throw them over their bodies, and it would sizzle and steam like the steam iron would you press clothes with. That their bodies were doing that. Their temperatures are up around 200 and 300 degrees. You know, that's your capacity as a being. You see, you know, and that's just not heat, hot. That's intelligence. That's power. With mind, we're able to focus that energy, that heat, that power, to get things done, to heal, for one, and to see. You see with energy. You know, it isn't just an opening of something. You know, it is an electromagnetic awareness of something. So when your head is steaming with atomic energy, and you think a thought, something happens at the moment you think that thought. The more energy you get, the more powerful your thoughts, because we think with electromagnetic fire. What's his name? I'll never forget his name. The author of The Brain, the Last Frontier, Richard Rasnack, mentions that we think with our mentation is a firing of energy. That's what you think. What you think with energy, you think with electric fire. You know? I pre-warn you, and will keep pre-warning you. The more you meditate, the more energy you're going to get. Therefore, the more powerful your thoughts are going to become. Don't sulk. Don't let your anger get the better of your temper. Your temper is your intent firing out. Okay? You're going to either make you sick or somebody else sick. Okay? He who is forewarned is forearmed. Okay, let me get off of that. So the sun, being the center of our solar system, is the life giver. It's referred to as the spark of life. And what I'm trying to do here is find each time the comparative in this little book that all of this symbology represents, because we're talking about these principles each time we talk about this science. And this what does this represent? Don't give me that, I don't know. Stop a moment and think. You might know. You know, don't be so quick to negate what you...
You know, I was still dealing with don't be angry if you meditate.
Okay, that's good.
And I was trying to put all that together in my
good.
head.
All right.
With some problems I'm having physically. So that's where you left me. Now
okay.
Run and
All right, okay. All right, well, I'm going to help you catch up. But I'm going to do this because this is a class, not a lecture. I'm not going to buck dance for you. I'm going to help re-educate you. So in order to do that, I'm going to... Okay. Okay. What law of the universe? Do you have this book yet?
No.
Okay. Well. Okay. Then I don't expect you to answer. But you got the book. No, your friend here, Leo's got it. Okay, Leo, get on it.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't read that one yet.
Yes, you have. Come on, the other Leo here. Yeah. We're talking about the spark of life. We're talking about electricity. We're talking about power. What is actually the first law of nature? The real first law of nature is what?
So it's not self-preservation?
No, it's not. It is vibration, which is the beginning of all life. Everything is in motion. Nothing stands still. That's yes. Yes, everything is quickened. We're trying to get quickener. Okay? That's the first law of nature. This is a very appropriate depiction of the law of vibration. When I told you about the sun ray hitting my leg, you should have got hip to that. It's 90 million miles. You know, that's how far we can see. That's how much we are in contact with this entire solar system. You see, you experience I want to say it. Well, I'll use it because it is spiritually and philosophically true. We do experience the whole of the universe. But it is so subtle because of where our physical forms are in the evolutionary stage that we don't know it. You see, we feel other energies, you know, but we don't know it because we're overwhelmed by the dynamics of the sun and cold, the extreme poles. And then warm, cool breezes, the middle point between cold and heat. What principle am I talking about there, Leo? The first thing, y'all can quit doing this one. If you keep doing this, your whole head will come off. Do some of this. You do know when I do this, that tells you that's duality. You see? The law of opposites. You see? We know these laws. What I'm doing is helping you to recall what you already know.
The yin and the yang.
The yin and the yang, which is very Eastern, but most certainly appropriate, which represents the male-female principles on one hand, but it's also duality. Yes. Okay, let me turn here to the law of vibration. I'm not going to read all of it. I'm trying to stay away from sermonetting, you know, but I'm going to do some reading here because I want to include some other information that you will find useful and appropriate. Nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. The Kybalion. The great third Hermetic principle, the principle of vibration, embodies the truth, page 137, embodies the truth that nothing is at rest, that everything moves, vibrates, and circles. In other words, the spiraling effect is a circular motion. that even though we see a straight line, the line extends itself by turning. Okay? It is actually, there is no such thing as a straight line. The straight line is the circle extended. Okay? You can't make a circle. A circle is the most natural thing in the creation. We see that by almost everything in nature is circular. Even the leaves are circular at the stem. Yes. Yes.
So that circle, when you talk about straight line, like a point that's still a circle.
Yes. Yeah. In order for it to move, it must turn.
Right.
That's what nature really means. Nature. That's the old English spelling of turn. Okay? Like your last name is Moore, right? No, hers. Yeah. On the end of it is an E. That's the old English spelling of Moore. Okay? Nature, a turn is what nature, the concept nature represents. This is anagrammatic writing, code writing. Okay? Like eros. You looked at, I know you've looked at the word eros. I'm simplifying this so that you, eros, that's the Greek word, eros. This is what eros spells. Okay. In the Greek, this means erotic love. Okay. And rose, of course, is the symbol, the natural symbol for love. That's anagrammatic writing. Okay? It's in all of your, quote, classic literatures, esoteric literatures, and this book is filled up with it. Filled up with esoteric, secret writing for the student. Meat for the strong man, the Bible. Meat for the strong man, milk for the babe. Okay? Okay? The Holy Bible. It's a secret book of knowledge, is what that book is. Yeah. Holios, Biblos, Holios, which means what? Book of the Sun. Did it blow you away? Well, keep getting blown away, because we're pulling back the curtains so we can see what's really going on. Okay, this is another level of consciousness. And as you keep getting it, you keep getting another kind of spirit that keeps unfolding from within. Okay? That's how you get to be God. Okay? By knowledge. Even the Jehovah's Witnesses know this stuff. Those who advance. But they ain't going to tell you. They're going to tell you about the stories. Okay. Okay, let's keep moving here. The spark of life, the concept here, the most powerful influence. Because each one of us is registered by the sun, no matter what our 30 degrees is, the sun comes into each one of these signs and registers our stay in that descriptive configuration of energy intelligence type. The planets don't give you that, it registers that at that point that you come out of mama. On the angle that you come out, the solar system, click, takes your picture. And affects. You can't be hit by energy and not be affected by it, but it doesn't make you who you are. You already are who you are. You chose to be Aquarius. You chose to be Leo. Okay? Because that's the way you're moving through this journey, this solar system. Your ascendant is who you were in your previous life. That was your sun sign. why we have so many conflicts in personality, because we bring something back with us from the previous life, and we didn't sort it all out. We didn't get it done. If you come back with Gemini's sun, Leo, you pretty well balance those 30 degrees. Okay, okay. You come back in the same vibration. You're finishing those 30 degrees, and usually at that point, that person can, not always, take a quantum leap spiritually. One writer said, if we could see the number of bodies we have had since we began this journey, it would stagger our imagination. We done dropped a mini body, trying to get this thing done. But there's a play element in the human psyche, a play element. Why it takes us so long? Because there's so much enjoyment down here, and we forget what we conveniently forget. We purposely forget why we come down here, so we can go off to play for a while. It's really interesting. But without knowing that at the very foundation of self, there is the indestructible you. You see? Gres. Asa res. Indestructible you. That's what Horus represents, who was Jesus, of course. Osiris, they represent the indestructible self that goes on and on and on and on and on ad infinitum, here forever. This is a wonderful little book. This little book will give you a sweet piece of sleep if you will read it and digest it. It depends on, or it will just start your awakening process. It depends on where you are. For me, it was just, for me it was like talking to God. I was so stressed out. Okay, let me go on here. Get the eraser. Why do I have the Sphinx up there and the Pyramid of Giza? The first thing I want to do before I get into that is point out something very interesting. Those of you rich folks that have a dollar bill, take your dollar out and look at the picture on the front of it. I want to see if you can see what's on the front of the dollar. Now look at the picture on the front of the dollar. Now look up on that board and see if you can see what's on that picture that's on that board, on that picture there. Front. Ain't but one picture up there. No. The front of the picture. We're looking at the picture.
George Washington and Sphinx look alike.
All right. Very good. See how much you know? You peep that right in there. Yeah. The old buzzard just combed his hair in the form of the hood of the Pharaoh, or Pharaoh. Okay. Because that's the one they trust. That was the high potentate. That's the father of our country, so-called. And actually it was Abraham Lincoln, but Abe wouldn't put on that fez, so they shot his ass. But that's the representation of the father, okay, which is in this. You're going to hook me up there a little bit. I keep tripping all this. Okay. This is Leo in the desert. The Lion of Judah. And the ancient language, this is the Lion of Jukasa. Pronounced Yukasa. Okay. Does anybody know what Haile Selassie's birthday was? He was a Leo. Anybody know what his symbol is?
July 23rd.
His symbol. All right. Yes, my brother. I knew he'd mouth that. The reason I mentioned it. Okay. All right. Calm down. Now this is interesting. The Romans also carried the lion as a banner, didn't they? What was Augustus Caesar's birthday? I don't hear anything back there. He was a Leo, right? Okay. So we're talking about symbology and the representation thereof. Okay. Now we're going to get into some sermonetting here. Genesis chapter 25, is it? I got it marked here. Or is it 42? It's not. Wait a minute, I got it written up here. I better have it written up here. Revelation. Let's see here. I did write it. I'll be darned. Okay, well, I'm looking for the conversation between Jacob and his 12 sons. Thank you. I do have it written up there. Okay. We did a part of this last week. We were dealing with cancer.
So you're at Genesis 49?
Genesis chapter 49, verse 9. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, you have gone up. He crouches. He lies down as a lion, and as a lion who dares rouse him up. The scepter shall not depart from Judah. Okay. Now, it would be wise, I need to tell you all, it would be wise to bring a Bible with you. I know you all get nervous when you get the Bible in your hand, but it would be wise, because I keep making reference to this book from its knowledge level. Okay, I'm not trying to take you back to church. Recall, we are being re-educated. And that means to go back at what you thought you had learned and find out what it really means. That's re-education. Okay. At this point, between the feet of the lion was an obelisk that they took out from between the feet of that lion, which was a tabloid of information or knowledge. I don't know what they did with it. They did that in several places. One of them they took to New York, brought from Egypt and brought to New York. And Yosef ben Yochanan mentions this in his book, Black Man of the Nile. And they did not invite one black mason to the ceremony of establishing that obelisk in Central Park in New York. Not one black mason. Yeah. And our brothers were furious. Yeah. I forget what year that was. It was around the 30s. Of course, the problem was thick then, problem of racism. And the Masons subscribed to that separatism. In fact, they still subscribe to separatism. There's only one Masonic lodge in this country that's integrated, the one in New York. I don't know of any.
That's Scottish Rite.
Huh?
Scottish Rite.
I think it is Scottish Rite, yes. I don't know of any Eastern Star Lodges that are integrated. But the reason I mention that is not to heighten the problem of racism. We know it's a problem. It is to heighten the fact that they know who we are. And part of the secret of the oath is don't tell them. Okay?
Why is that a secret? I mean, I think everybody should know.
Because we live in a Masonic government that is Moorish government, which is the knowledge of the inheritance that you and I and the rest of the dark-skinned, broad-nosed, thick-lipped, and furled-haired human beings on planet Earth are to receive.
So
but
is
if you
something that like all like the Masons or fraternity sororities, is that something they go through their initiation?
I don't quite know what the Greek sororities and fraternities are doing. I don't know if they get knowledge or not. I don't know. The reason I don't know because I haven't looked. So I don't want to critique them without knowing. I remember one brother asked me up by the campus up there one day, he saw my fez on, he said, "Are you Greek?" I said, no, shit. So I'm
Well, I have a problem with
yeah.
letters, period. I mean, that you're
yeah.
wearing something Greek.
Well, they're not Greek.
Represent-
Okay,
Right.
they're African.
Right.
They
right.
were borrowed by the Greeks.
Right.
Now, if you want to study that, the book Stolen Legacy is available. Should have some copies over there, by one of the real masters of our culture, whom we did not have the privilege of knowing, George M. James, who died before his time and died rather mysteriously and unfortunate for us, who was born in British Guiana and published the book there, and they chased him, ran him out, and banned the man's book. Yeah. So he came to America, got 2 lawyers, helped him get it published here. And it used to sell for $4.95. And interesting thing, it used to be in the sex bookstores. You know?
Now, who's the author of that?
George M. James. And I think it's one over in the far left-hand side there, unless you sold it, behind that case there. And I remember I've seen the cover several times down through a number of years. It would catch my attention with this hazy, you know, like you notice something and you don't notice it, you know. You know, you're looking for something else and you happen to notice something that you don't acknowledge. And I'd seen the book and seen the book and seen the book and seen, so finally I got Dr. Yakanon's book, and he started talking about Stolen Legacy, and that's when I went and bought a copy of it. Excellent. Excellent. Will blow the average brother at Morehouse away, who is seeped in Greek this and Greek that. Now, a lot of the fraternities are aware of George James. The brothers in Alpha Phi Alpha know that it's about us. They changed their emblematic to the Pharaoh's head, the ones that were initiated at Cleveland State the day I was there, and walking around with bald heads and this wooden plaque of a pharaoh's face on their chest. But if you look on the back of some and many cars, you will see Akhenaten, who most people call Akhenaten, another Greek pronunciation, who was the one accredited with articulating one God, and the Son God, the Father, which isn't correct. The ancient wisdom always understood the idea of oneness. They had many Godheads, you know, just as Christianity has many Godheads. They call them angels. But anyway, I'm getting lost here. How did I get way over there? I'm trying to stay focused here. Are we talking about Leo and Judah and symbology? That's how I got over there. Okay. And this scepter, this representation of authority and power that has been translated over into Jewish, quote, Jewish, Hebrew culture and religiosity. Okay? That's the Kabbalistic writers' works. The Kabbalistic writers are the ones that page this book. This is a English book. This is not Hebrew, okay? Understand that. The translation of this book from the, quote, ancient Greek to the Latin Vulgate, Latin by the Catholic Church, to the Protestants, into Old English, the King's English, okay, then into modern English. Okay, that's what we have here, modern English translation. And of course, with the King James Version, it's called Old English or the King's English. And King James did not know anything about thou and thine and thus and thouest. That's Shakespeare, one of the Kabbalists who coined this book. in the Browder files, Brother Browder points out one of the Psalms where Shakespeare leaves his insignia. I forget which psalm it is, where he breaks his name down to shaken and spear. Like the cartographer, when you got a map in here? When the cartographer does a map and he wants it on his own, he'll misspell a word in the map. That'll be his signature. Or he'll put a name on the map that's not a place. So if you duplicate his shit, you say, no, that ain't yours, that's mine, you know. Okay, well, Shakespeare did the same thing with his writing in terms of the scriptures. That doesn't make it any less valid, okay? What we need to know is that the European was given spiritual charge of the Western Hemisphere that included the land of the Indian at the time that this spiritual commission was being sent forth. That's Germain. Okay, if you want to know where the blonde hair and blue eyes became so prominent, that's their overlord. Okay.
Are you talking about Saint Germain now?
Saint Germain, yes. Yes. Right. That's the overlord. That's the KC of the Western Hemisphere, the Knight Commander.
Could you help us understand Saint Germain a little?
No, we can't get off. I just want to mention it. We're trying to do Leo here. But I want to include information that keeps clearing the field, okay, so that you know what you're doing, okay? Knowledge requires that you know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Okay? That's the ancient axiom that black folks need to digest, knowledge. Knowledge truly is power. It dissolves illusions, disillusions, lies, half-lies and half-truths. And the black ones too. You know, don't try to leave it on one side. A liar is a liar is a liar. Okay? Don't hold up one lie against another. That ain't the truth. Okay? Seek the truth. The truth will set you free. There were some instances where black folks had to lie because a white boy had done such horrendous lying. But we're trying to unfold here. We're not trying to oppose. See? At least I'm not. You can do what you want to do. I'm about waking you up. The reason I'm not trying to start a membership and I ain't got nothing for you to join. Don't want you to bow down to nothing. You know, I want you to raise up to the highest level of awareness of truth that you can possibly find. So we're done with Judah, whose name is Yahudah, which means praiser of truth. And the idea of the lion in the scriptures is again significant because in where is it at? Revelations 5:5 concerning Judah and that lion. Revelations chapter 5, verse 5 is where it begins. Actually, it begins verse 1. We'll start Revelations 1. First, the book of Revelations is a book that reveals your body. The word book is a symbolism for body. Okay? And we're just going to prove that right now. Revelations chapter 5, verse 1. Anybody got that? I want to read it. You got it there, Aquarius? How many of you American Negroes own Bibles? Good. Okay. All right. Okay. I just want to know. You know, some black folks don't have a book. You know, don't even own one. Chapter 5, verse 1. You got it? No, it means you can't study it if you don't have one. That's all. So when you walk downtown on Peachtree and this Negro standing there with this great big old sign, repent! See? that's all you got to think about all day. You can't refute that because you don't know what the word repent means. You see? So you get scared, and next thing you know, somebody's handing you a tract, and you get scared because you're going to lose your soul. Okay? That's babyhood. Ain't no M-A-N in there. Okay? So, truth helps you to defend this. Keeps this from wobbling. And buying the myths and the belief systems. When somebody says, Jesus is Lord. Oh, okay, brother, okay. Yeah. Well, he is Lord. But so are you. But you have to know that now. You can't run up in his face and say, but I believe, brother, he ain't going to buy that one. And he doesn't have to buy it when you know it. You have to buy it. But you have to know why you're Lord. See, when you read this little book, then you'll begin to know why you're Lord. Okay, if I got it, my sister? Okay, read to us out loud. Yes, uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And I saw on the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within, and on the backside sealed with 7 seals.
Okay. Now, note the language. Okay? Because if you read this straight through like you're getting ready to say amen, you're going to miss it. This is a book, the book of Revelation is a book of symbology. From chapter 1, verse 1 to chapter 22, verse 21. All the way through, this is symbology. Okay? And it's all about you, the whole book. Okay. And I saw in the right hand of him who sat on the throne a book written inside. Okay? And on the back. Okay. All right? Okay? A book written inside on the back, sealed with 7 seals. Inside, on the back, 7 seals. 7 chakras, 7 vertebrae, 7 nerve centers. That's the book. Inside. All right, go on.
And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, who is worthy to open the book, and read the seals thereof.
Go on.
And no man in heaven, nor in earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the book, neither to look thereon.
Go on.
And I wept much, because no man was found worthy to open and read the book, neither to look thereon.
Okay. And verse 5. And one of the elders said to me, Stop weeping, behold, the Lion that is from the tribe of Judah, the root of David, has overcome, so as to open the book and its 7 seals. Okay. From the tribe of Judah, knowing that the tribe of Judah is who? 30 degrees of Leo. Everybody born within this time period is of the tribe of Judah. Okay, those are the 30 degrees. The first aspect of that symbology is what that represents. Okay, it doesn't exclude anybody. It doesn't mean Haile Selassie only or Jesus only. Okay, okay. So we understand what universal knowledge is talking about.